Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and I want to talk to you about the importance of keeping up with your criminal case. Now, some people hire an attorney, some people receive a court-appointed attorney, a public defender. Um, some people represent themselves. But here's what's important. In every jurisdiction throughout the state of Florida, there is a clerk of court. The clerk of court manages the court system in effect. And every document that is filed in a criminal case, not every, but 99% of documents are found on the clerk of court. So let's say, for instance, you were arrested in Palm Beach County. You could type in clerk of court, Palm Beach County, search court records, find your name, find your case, click on it, and they have tabs. Court events, upcoming court date, if your attorney's filed pleadings or motions, and you have an up-to-date calendar. Now, this is something I do with all of my clients. I explain to them, hey, the clerk of court, you really should be checking in on this because I want my clients to contact me 3 to 5 business days before each court date to make sure we're on the same page, that all of their questions are asked and understood, and they know what's going to happen at the hearing. So, leads me to a story. I recently had a client that retained me on two cases that happened, pretty short time between. And I got involved with case filing, and I was able to have one of the cases dismissed, and the other case they filed on. Now, on the case that they filed on, they changed the wording a little bit. I'll give you an example. Instead of possession of narcotics, they may have charged my client with possession of cocaine or something like that. Just a change in words. It's really the same statute, maybe a different subsection. But what that means is there's an arraignment and bond status. Normally, you don't go to an arraignment. Your attorney files in pleadings. Now, if you have the public defender, you have to go to arraignment. If you're representing yourself pro se, you have to go to arraignment. If you have a private attorney, we file in and we waive the formal reading of the charges against you. And we say not guilty, request a jury trial, and the case gets set. Often we also file another pleading called discovery, a request for discovery, which means all the information that the government has against you. So in this case, we had an arraignment and bond status. Now, in the jurisdiction that I was working, I was allowed to appear online, Zoom, and the client had to appear in person. And the only reason for that is because if there's a slight change of charge, the wording, the charge changed in some way, they actually hand you a piece of paper. It's like they serve you with the actual information. Doesn't mean you're going to jail, nothing like that. So I was on Zoom. I explained to the judge that there was a slight change of charge, that my client was originally ROR'd on the case, and I was asking that my client be ROR'd again. And the judge agreed. Now, the problem is literally a minute before my client walks into the courtroom, I'm already on Zoom because my client was running just a few minutes behind. And I look and I see that in the clerk of court, my client had another case. And I'm like, what the heck? What's this? And I see that my client had a warrant on that case. And I'm going, oh boy. So I immediately called my client, but they had turned their phone off when they entered the courthouse. Walked into the courtroom, handled the stuff. Obviously, my duty is not to bring that up to the judge, and I'm hoping that they miss it, but they don't. And next thing you know, I get a text from my client, they're taking me into custody. Of course, I get right back on. I contact the bondsman to help them out. But it's important to check your cases. it's important to tell your attorney about your cases. So, for instance, I was hired on these 2 cases. I wasn't hired on a 3rd case or a 4th case or a 5th case. So normally I would have no knowledge. I just happened to be waiting for my case to be called and kind of looking through the Clerk of Court website. And I saw it, I went, oh boy, this person is going to be taken into custody. And immediately I called the bondsman to try to see if there was a way I could get the client to get him out, get this person out quicker. Ultimately, they had to go into custody and bond out. So, they usually get stuck in the system for about 16 hours or so. But all of this could have been prevented respectfully if the client followed the instructions and additionally communicated and said, hey, I have another case and I didn't show up. Can you help me with that? And even if they didn't hire me, I would have explained to them what they could have done. They could have went down to the clerk and asked for that to be set aside, given a reason why they missed it, and the judge comes back and says yay or nay. Or they could have gone with a bondsman and possibly had a walkthrough where they walk into the jail and walk out of the jail with the bondsman. Maybe it takes an hour. But in this case, those things didn't happen, and it's a learning experience. I'm sure the client will be more communicative and more diligent in their reviewing their cases and telling their attorney, kind of what else they got going on. Because I get it, not every client has the money to hire the attorney for every case, but if I'm already hired on a case and someone asks me a question, I'm more than happy to give them some guidance, tell them what I think they should do. Had I known that there was a warrant, we surely would have had it. I would have given them guidance to clear it up prior to walking into court on an arraignment and bond status. So if you didn't know, now you know. The Clerk of Court is a great website, and it will always have your court dates, your judge, your information, what pleadings have been filed. It's important to stay with that. Anyway, I'm Attorney Roger P. Foley. Have a great day. See ya.